everyone, welcome to the Coin Engineer YouTube channel.
The topic of this video is what support and resistance are and how to find them. In our previous video, we explained what TradingView is. We discussed how to use TradingView to find the smart tool here and the Bitcoin party here. Now, we will examine the party of Bitcoin on the Coinbase exchange. And here we discussed the previous video in the Bitcoin usage training series. Now, we will look at the support and resistance points on Bitcoin. Right now, this is the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin that you see. What are support and resistance points? And how do we determine them? We actually identify support and resistance points using trend lines. They are determined using moving averages and Fibonacci levels. We will explain these to you. First of all, what is support? Support is the point where the price is expected to reverse during a downtrend, meaning it will start to rise again. Resistance is the point where the price is expected to start falling during an uptrend. For example, here is the resistance and here is the support. We can see that the decline ended here. We can also see that the uptrend ended here. Each candle here represents 4 hours. The line at the top of a candle shows us the highest price. The line below indicates the lowest price within that candle, meaning the lowest price during the 4-hour period. The bottom of the solid red area here represents the opening price, while the top of the solid red area indicates the closing price. This means that it opened at 56,000 and closed at 56,200 in 4 hours. Now we will identify the support and resistance points by looking at these candles. Let's examine the chart of Bitcoin here. How are trend lines drawn and how can we find support from trend lines? You can find support from trend lines in the following way. Here you can see 3 dips. The first dip, the second dip, and the third dip here. A trend is said to form after 3 dips. It can also occur with 2 dips. If these dips are above each other, for example, this is the 44,000 dip and this is the 46,000 dip. Rising dips indicate that there is an upward trend. Here we see the point of the uptrend using the light. As you can see, this is how the uptrend has revealed itself to us. Here is a horizontal trend. Above this line, as you can see, this is a trend. If the peaks are always above each other, we can see that the peaks are consistently higher than one another, as you can see. This is an uptrend. That means the peaks will be above each other. The dips will also be on top of each other. As you can see, this indicates an uptrend. And here, this channel always acts as support. These areas have always worked as support. The places where declines have reversed. Here, these areas at the top have always acted as resistance. And here, it has now firmly broken the resistance. We can find support and resistance levels like this using trend lines. An upward trend is referred to as a bull season, while a downward trend is called a bear season. The reason for this comes from the way the bull raises its horns. The bear, on the other hand, comes from the way it swipes with its paw. Now let's see how to find support and resistance points in a downtrend. Here, we can see that the lows in a downtrend should always be below the previous low. Look, they are always lower here. We see that the peaks are always below each other. This is a downtrend. And if we draw from the point where the trend started to the next peak, we can see the resistances this way. Here there is also a downtrend present. As you can see here, the supports have always worked as this point. You can see these trend supports in this way. For example, when Bitcoin drops here and comes up to this point, the place where you will buy or sell should be above this trend. And when it comes back down to this trend, you buy again, you sell here, and you buy again here. And if it rises and breaks, if you sold here, you would stop out and buy back here. We will explain these one by one. We will discuss how to profit from trend reversals. How are supports and resistances found using moving averages? In the indicators section, we type MA to find the moving average, and I add it to the chart. After finding the moving average, we click twice, and here on the left side, we click on the bottom part of the foot to set the length to 50. Let's make the style red. Let's thicken it a bit here. And I say done. For the other indicator, I write 200 for the average. And I make this one black like my 200. After making it black, I thicken it a little bit. And that's it. I'm done. Now you can see that the averages are working as support for us here. If we add the EMA again, let's add another EMA. As you can see, we added the EMA here. And let's set this EMA to 25. Let's thicken this 25 a bit. Yes, the 25 period average is yellow. Now, when you look at these signals, our strongest support, resistance, will be at 200. In the case of no leverage, it will be 25. The 50 will be an average, support, and resistance point. Now, as you can see here, the black line at 200 is seen as the main support point. As you can see, this is the main support. When it touched here, it definitely experienced an upward movement, and this has acted as an important support. I am currently removing the 200. Now let's take a look at the other 50 red one. As you can see, when it falls below the red line, red is now always acting as resistance for us. As you can see, it is consistently struggling here as resistance. Resistance is working. Above it, look here. Our chart is always functioning as support when it is above the red line. As you can see, it rises every time it touches here. So, moving averages act as support and resistance. Now I am removing the 50 period, which is the purple one, and I only see the 25 period moving average. As you can see here, the 25 period moving average is currently above, and when Bitcoin rises above it, as you can see, it has broken above here. And while it is above, the moving average has always acted as support for us. So, it has served as the point where the upward trend has started again. Look, this is where it is. Whenever it was above, these areas have always acted as support. As you can see, they have worked as support many times. The support here was eventually broken sharply downward because it had been tested many times. And after two candle closes below, this has now shown a significant decline and has acted as a support point for us. A serious decline has occurred, and now that it is below this moving average, it has always acted as resistance for us. Look, this is the first resistance, the second resistance. Here, it has tried for the third time and broken through. Now that it has risen above this line will always serve as a support point for us. Our tool for finding the next support point is the Fibonacci levels. Here, on the left side, there is a Fibonacci retracement. We click on this. After clicking on this tool, we select the point where a trend begins. For example, here, we can see that a significant uptrend has started. I select this point and drag it towards the peak. When I drag it up, I see that 0.236 is a support. Here, a support at 0.216, 0.382, 0.618, and 0.0618 has worked as a strong support for us. We can also see support points using Fibonacci levels. Here in the settings section, we can fill the left side by clicking and shifting the style lines to the left. By clicking on the opposite side, we can also see the upper resistance levels. As you can see here, when it breaks down at the Fibonacci levels, we see that 0.6 weighted acts as resistance while it is rising. Here is a resistance, here is another resistance, and we can see that the strong resistance is around these levels. As you can see at 1.618, you can easily observe these on the Fibonacci levels. Now, I don't see or use any of these tools. If you say that these tools are not available in any way, we have our ray tool here. First of all, a resistance point. The peak point, in other words, the point where it reverses actually appears before us. The peak is our resistance. As you can see, this is a resistance. Now let's see where the previous peak is. As you can see, this is a peak. There is also a support here. The previous peak always acts as support. As you can see, this has worked as support during the decline, and support has eventually appeared as resistance after a while. As you can see, it has come as resistance. Look, it has come in as resistance here. And now, let's take a look at the previous peak. This is it. And we can see that the strongest support is here at 47,500. And the next peak, there is also a small peak here. Yes, as you can see, look, the peaks are appearing as support. As you can see, we have now observed that these support peak points have emerged as support. So, as you can see, the peaks on the left side here have appeared as support on the right side. Now, I have removed these peaks. Let's also take a look at the troughs. Here you can see a bottom on the 4-hour chart. As it was falling, a bottom formed here, and as you can see, another bottom formed here, and yet another bottom formed here. Now, let's examine it. This is the first trough. This is the second trough. This is the third trough. As you can see, I am showing it again like this. This is the first dip, this is the second dip, and this is the third dip. As you can see, these areas here, now I'm drawing a line to these points. The first dip, the second dip, and the third dip. Now, this means that these lows are now appearing as resistance. Since it has come below this low, this area is now a resistance. As you can see, look at the resistance. These are horizontal resistances. As you can see, look at the resistance. And here we see that a resistance has formed again. And this is a battleground for buying. The strongest resistance is the point where it previously reversed. As you can see, so what will happen if it falls below this? It will now emerge as a resistance at 45,000. I hope you have understood the support and resistance points. The most important thing at support and resistance points is actually this. Here we see a downtrend. This trend shows that the resistances here turn into support after breaking through this level. For example, it has made a breakout here. In other words, it has broken out. After breaking out, it has also made a pullback. This pullback has acted as support. Look, this has acted as a support. So, friends, actually, there is a low point here from before. This low has emerged as resistance. Here, however, there is a peak. This peak has appeared again as resistance. The lows act as resistance, while the highs act as support. Look, this peak here has acted as support, and this trough here has acted as resistance. So, this is what you need to understand. I hope I was able to explain it well. We have reached the end of this video. I wish you all a good day. I hope you liked it.